parece esa gorda, la que anda comiendo torta. Me gusta pa' mí, bella. Ella es una gordi buena, que todos andan mirándola como traga. Me acerco, le digo me gustan Bembur, comimos tacos enteros, puros al pastor. Le dije, voy a conquistar tu familia, que en unos días vas a ser mía. Me dijo que estoy muy loco, pero le gusta que ningún vato como yo actúa.
¿Qué ondas, primos y primas? And welcome back to my Primos podcast. My name is Freddie, and with me tonight is my primo and yours, el siete, el chicume, ampersand, Walter. Say what's up, Walter.
Hello.
Wow, no, you're like the worst, man. I build you up. I'm like,
man,
why? Why do I
got a stuffy nose. I've been sneezing. These kids drained the fucking energy out of me. Like, you're lucky I'm even here.
Oh, well,
you got a stuffy nose. Us. I'm lucky I can talk.
That gruff voice there, everybody. Yeah. Mr. Kevin Garcia.com. Try to say hello, Kevin.
With enough beer for all three of us.
So so I lost my voice last week. And everybody's like, "What'd you have?" You know what? It was in the last place I looked. You know why? Because once I found it, I need to keep looking. Anyway, the point is that everybody's like, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "Look, I tested it. It's not COVID. That's all I care." So it's not COVID.
True.
And it's I got my voice back now, so I can start to talk. It's a little bit rough, but it's there. However, it set off my cough, and that's gonna be a whole thing because I got this lungs that are all full of scar tissue from childhood asthma. So every time I get a cold, I just cough for weeks. It's just gonna be bleh.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously you're here with us. Thank you for making the fight la lucha to be here. But Primos, thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys. Everybody listening on all the streaming platforms. Just look for my Primos podcast, of course. Same at my Primos podcast on all social media. You can go ahead and send Walter all the unwanted dick pics and hate mail. Okay, look for at Chikume. He wants it.
I sort them. I sort through them.
He sorts through them, right?
Yeah.
So he's not gonna. He'll reply with a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I rate them
for free. You don't have to pay for it. There you go, Primos. But Walter, Kevin, you asked us to play a song before the show started. And what's the song that you've been jamming out to, or that most of everyone?
The whole United States has been jamming out to. Peso Pluma.
Ella baila Sola.
And it's man, it's a good jam. Like that's all I gotta say. Like,
well, this is where it kind of got thrust into my little bubble, right, of social media, because I don't really listen to a lot of like that type of music.
I mean, you don't listen to it at all. Let's be honest.
No, well, my wife, dude, she listens to it. She listens to a lot of the old corridos and corridos tumbados, and she listens to that. And so we played it, and I enjoyed it. It was interesting, and I dug the sound. I dug that they're young guys embracing this. Kevin, I mean, I know you kind of chatted on it. What were your thoughts? You don't really.
So I'll be honest, like this is most things music, doesn't matter the kind of music. Most things music go under my radar. Like I have a playlist that I listen to on Spotify that has over 30, 40 hours of music. And it's 1,000 something songs of just things I like. People ask, "Oh, I didn't know you're a fan of so-and-so." I didn't know what so-and-so was. I just like the music and put it on there. And corridos is one of those things that I like. I like corridos. I like the old school, the folk heroes and that kind of stuff where they tell these giant grand stories. Right? And this song, until Walter introduced it to me, I hadn't really paid attention to it, but I like it. I love the sound. Music video is badass. And then I'm looking it up right now on TikTok. You want to know how many times that this song has been used on TikTok videos?
Please enlighten us.
1.8 million times.
Ooh,
different people. That's how many. That's not even views. That's how many videos have used this song.
Kevin, I have a test for you.
Okay, you want to know what? Okay, I checked on the Wakanda Forever, like when that movie was first hitting, like how many times the songs were played. A few of them were like 1,000. A few of them were like a couple hundred. A few of them were like almost 5, 6, 7,000 at that time. Now there's more, obviously. This song already has 1.8 million videos with that song attached to it.
Well, I heard that it just recently surpassed like.
It even says
what's her name? Swift, the white lady.
Taylor Swift,
Taylor Swift
number one viral hit.
Yeah, it's up there, man. And the thing is, it's
number one viral hit in the U.S. And I think a lot of people will overlook this because they're going to say, "Oh, it's Spanish music. It's like cultural to like small towns kind of music." Mm-mm. But no, dude, this is part of the U.S. culture. This is who we are.
On the Tonight Show.
Yeah, he was on Jimmy Fallon and played the whole goddamn song, did his thing, and it's like, I mean, I didn't like how it was like the first ever Latino making history playing on Jimmy Fallon. I mean, how is that history? But nonetheless, late night Latino music, it's a big deal. Like, you know. Okay,
Taylor Swift, the first hit that pops up when I looked her up. You want to know how many times All of the Girls You Loved Before has been used in 88,000. Not even a tenth of the number of times.
Pluma, man, the featherweight.
Because I heard this song a few weeks before, and it's that's a good song. But then when I started noticing, it's like, oh shit, this is a big deal. Was when at work there, like I was telling you guys, this technician, young guy that got hired, who is a first generation Nigerian. And he was playing it in his truck, and I'm like, "What are you listening to?" And he's like, "Oh, Peso Pluma." And I'm like, "How did you hear about that?" "Oh, it's a good song." And it's like, what? Like, that's not something that I grew up with in high school or in college, where anybody outside of the Latino community would have said, "Oh, this is a bad." Where you had to recommend stuff to people, which coincidentally, when that happened, I started recommending other songs to him, and he's like, "Oh shit, this is good music." It seems like now more people, this younger generation, are more receptive to Latino music, much more than where we come from. At least our demographic.
I always go back to La Bamba. Remember that? Like Richie Valens, him had to break out into the scene.
And then it had a whole second life when the movie came out.
Yeah, exactly. It had a whole second life.
It's not just that. You mentioned Nigerian a second ago. Korean music is really big with the kids too. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter where somebody's background is. They're just eating up this idea of this immigrant culture. These this pan-national stuff.
I mean, you're the one that teaches is me. It feels like when at least I was in high school, the music scene was a lot more cliquey. Like you were part of a clique, and that's what you listened to. Anything outside of that, you're like, no, that sucks. It seems like nowadays kids have a much more eclectic,
which I'm happy about.
Which I'm happy about.
You want to know the best example of explaining to you how different it is that I can think of? The movie 21 Jump Street, which even now is like over 10 years old, right? Yeah. But in 21 Jump Street, they go to high school and they're expecting the nerds and jocks to be separate groups, and they're not.
That's a perfect.
And that is exactly what it's been like teaching for the past 15 years. It's like, there's still divisions in high school. Don't get me wrong, it still exists, obviously, but it's much less in terms of like, well, this is my culture, that's your culture. It's more like, they want to be with like-minded people, and they just keep doing it.
And that's crazy because in high school, I went to school in a predominantly Latino high school, which is like 98% Latino. So and everybody knew the two black kids and the one white cheerleader, and there's this one. And it's like,
wait, did you go to my school?
No, it was.
Okay.
But even then. There were cliques within Latinos. It's like the metalhead Latinos, and then you had the hip hop or rap or whatever.
You know what? Maybe Walter will know for sure, but Kevin, there was a very special moment I remember. I was into I had hair back then, so many years ago.
You have hair now. I just don't want to see it.
Yeah. If you don't see it, is it there? Is it not? But the point is, there was a point where the dividing lines blurred. And I think it's the year when White Pony came out. which is Deftones.
Yeah,
So,
Chino Marin.
Because it was a Latino-led band playing metal that had kids in the inner city, Latinos that I grew up with around, that were mostly like, I would say Cholo-esque. And I'm literally like...
He dressed Cholo-esque with the long socks and everything.
And it was metal to Cholos. And they were like, I'm like, what are you listening to? Oh, White Pony. I was like, oh shit, like, so am I. And
you know what? I feel like that makes sense. It's funny because people kept talking about Selena, and we just had a Selena celebration here in Austin a few weeks ago. They kept talking about her being like a big crossover, and unfortunately she died before she could. No, right before they were like waiting for her to have her big American break, and then boom, But I think I think exactly what you're saying, Freddie, is that it wasn't so much as like, hey, here is Mexican culture. It was like, no, screw it. We are just American. Yeah, this is just who we are. It doesn't matter if it's Mexican, it's white, it's whatever. It's just music.
But in the larger zeitgeist of an overview, it feels to me like this guy, to a certain extent, at least at this moment, feels like Nirvana coming in and wiping out hair metal bands. So it feels like this guy's coming in to wipe out reggaeton.
Here's what I'm going to say. Lucia, my wife, she's the one that kind of led me into it, right? She goes, he did reggaeton music. It didn't hit. What? And once he went this route, took off.
You know what strikes me as well, though, is that
there's a lot of artists that have done that, though. A lot of artists have done that. They'll switch back and forth, and then something hits.
But it strikes me as well that like these guys are extremely young. Like I look at the video, and I expected them to look like old guys from the music, and this is beautiful. But it seems like the younger generation, like you said, my students, post Deftones, that's like these are people who want to see immigrant communities being part of the whole, and yet it's the older generations, the people that actually want to, the people that run the government, that run the government are trying to shut all that down.
Which goes, it's like it feels, I don't know if this is the correct analogy, but it's like like the bastard child. It's like, I'm your son, but you don't want me.
Exactly.
Like, I am your blood. I am your this. I am your that. I've been part of the culture. What's that one song that I always think about? Is I went to your schools. I went to your institution.
Suicidal tendencies, institutionalized.
Institutionalized. I went to your schools, to your institutions, but then I'm the one that's, I'm the weird one.
What's wrong with me?
Something's wrong with me.
Like Kevin's touching on, right? Like this singer, this music, this style, this is blowing up, and the younger age groups are accepting it. They're embracing it, right? They're moving with it. I saw Snoop Dogg in a video with like corrido band,
Ice Cube just made a damn fucking video of him. It sounds horrible, but it's him rapping on top of, with Grupo Firme, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds horrible, but the attempt is being made, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're so much part of, it's like not only the food, now it's like the music, and it's like, like there's people opting to have quinceañeras instead of Sweet 16,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen Better Things on, it's a show, I forget what it's on, but there's an episode 2-3 seasons ago where her daughter, who at least in the show plays, she's a non-binary or gay, I don't know what she is, she opts to have her, instead of having a Sweet 16, she has a quinceañera. So it's like that's stuff that's happening out there, So it's like, but Abbott still decides to call.
Like you said, the younger people are accepting. They're changing. They're accepting. We're all together, right? We're all one people.
You know what? Walter just kind of called it out right now with the older generation. Abbott, we got our governor here doing everything he can to kind of shut down a lot of the interactions between the younger people.
On one side, we have people embracing the culture and recognizing the struggle, recognizing that we're all on this interwoven tapestry, right? But then we have things like Florida passing these laws that are literally kicking dirt in their face.
Yep.
Exactly. And so many to minimize it.
Like what exactly is going on? Like,
So in Florida, DeSantis, they passed the law. I mean, they
Sick
basically gave him
cabrón.
$12 million to be able to transport people in his plan, again,
What?
from the border up to other parts of the country to kind of just throw them out in that area. But one of the biggest parts of the law as well was that if you are in a vehicle and to be specific about it, if you're traveling past state lines, you can be considered a human trafficker because you're traveling with a known undocumented person.
An undocumented entity. Like,
You know what? You know what's really funny to me?
It's so ridiculous.
The same guy that passed this law is the guy that paid people to trick migrants into getting on a plane and get sent to Margaret's I can't say right now because my voice is out.
Hey, but now he's sponsored
Vineyard.
by the state's sponsoring it now. Now
Right,
he's getting.
no. But like literally, he did that. Like he paid somebody to traffic people without their consent or knowledge through the country.
So
Yeah,
he's
but
making his own law right now.
Well, the law that he hadn't passed yet.
If he does that dumb
But
shit.
I mean, it's like, oh man, like that's exactly what he did. And now, if you just take your cousin for a drive to the market, you know, like hell, I know people personally, like friends of mine, that don't know whether they have legal status or not. Like literally.
Yeah.
They're like,
shit. Here in Texas, there was an example of a border patrol agent who was a border patrol agent and pretty much processed people.
yeah.
And then he found out because they did a background check that he did not have any papers, and now he's in Mexico.
You know what's funny to me is this. God damn it! It sounds like the plot of Born in East LA. But you know what's funny to me is that like there's talk to a lot of people, white people especially, that are like, oh, that can never happen. You know, why shouldn't somebody show their social security number or their driver's license in order to vote? Everybody has one. They don't understand how many people have lives that are different from theirs. Somebody can be 100% a citizen of this United States and not be certain of it. Somebody could be 100% not a citizen of the United States and not be sure about it. There are people in so many situations where you wouldn't know. And if Florida, if they find out you're wrong, boom, you're both getting arrested.
Because, for example, here, I mean, just living in the city, in a proper city, I guess what you would want to call it, going to the DMV or the DPS or whatever they call it here, even having access to a brick and mortar location to go get those documents, you have to take a day off, or at least half a day off to go get them. Now imagine living in colonias near the border, which is something that is actually right, that have little to no potable water and infrastructure, trying to find a location to go get documents so that you can then go vote. You know, it's like, no, I'm gonna go spend half a day and $100 just to go, you know, when I'm already short. It's like,
I mean, I want to go back to the law being passed, right? And they're toting, and it's not fair to say that word. I'll try a different word. They're using an example of a tragedy, you know, a past tragedy, and we'll cover a recent one here shortly, but a past tragedy that occurred that they used to help motivate this bill to get passed, this law to get passed, where a family says that an undocumented person hit their son in a car accident, and that kid passed away. Sad, tragic. 100%. And they're saying because this person was in the country illegally, their son died. In my head, I took it, hold on. That's just manipulation, right? They're twisting the things around.
It is entirely.
It could have been me driving that car.
You know what? Here's what's funny to me. Every time somebody brings up the example of gun violence, so they're saying that there's way more car accidents deaths than there are gun accident deaths. Okay, fine. But the problem is they're now taking one out of thousands of car accidents and saying that one example is the example that we're going to use to now villainize an entire group of people, not even just one group of people, every group of people that are immigrants from any country that's not white. Now, they don't say that in the bill, but it's like, look at the people that get citizenship. They are going to get the European people citizenship first. It happens.
Yeah. Or if you're investing at least 500,000 or something like that, you get.
No, think about it this way. There's even with the people, refugees, the whole idea that the law for find sanctuary, right? That's going to be impacted.
Yeah. Well, do you know about the current refugee law right now that's going out? The one's ending right now, right?
42.
The
right?
Title 42 is ending. 42. Title 8 started.
Yep. And so they're trying to make it It's, you know what the funny part to me is, every time I see people talk about, oh, these caravans, and yeah, you know what, there are people that travel together for safety, but here's the situation: the more they make a big deal out of it, the more laws get passed, and the second those laws get pushed back down again, everybody who is not well versed but just hears about it through the grapevine goes, oh, I heard the U.S. just lowered their immigration laws. No, they just returned to the way they used to be. But if they hadn't done that giant rubber band effect the first time, it wouldn't have caused any difference. We would have had the same amount of immigration that we do normally. Yes, it increases year to year, but it wouldn't increase by such large numbers if it weren't people making a big deal out of it. Do you know what the Barbara Streisand effect is? Ever heard that expression?
No, I've heard it a lot.
Okay, so the Barbara Streisand effect.
What does that mean exactly?
So the Barbara Streisand effect is this. Barbara Streisand found out that some website, I don't remember if it was Wikipedia or Google, whatever it was, had a picture of her house on their reference site. And she said, I want you to take it down. But her demanding it get taken down caused so much attention to the fact that you could look at her house on the internet that everybody now wanted to look at her house on the internet. So if she hadn't said anything, nobody would have bothered. So because these people are making such a big deal out of immigration, it causes people from other countries think, well, I was thinking of coming next year or the year after, but I better go now before it gets worse. And it's like, they're causing their own problems.
It's the same thing that happens with the gun law, with gun laws, where when there were mass shootings during the Obama presidency, gun sales would go up.
There weren't any more mass shootings in the Obama presidency than there were prior to that. No,
not more. When they were
I know, but by wording it that way, you're implying that there were.
No, when there were any, if there was any shooting, if there was any mass shootings
during a Democratic presidency.
So
then,
at least,
yes, well that's just spin for gun sales.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. So
that doesn't actually. The only problem that causes is more guns in people's hands. That's
the thing. So then, as soon as there was a mass shooting during the Obama presidency, gun sales would shoot up because they would Fox News would sell. Oh, they're going to come after our guns, and then sales would shoot up. When Hillary was running for president and they thought that she had a chance of winning, gun sales shot up. The less amount of guns that were sold was during Trump's presidency because they didn't think they were coming for their guns. So it's like everything's just being used to monetize. Like don't what do they call it? Don't let a tragedy go to waste, right? So.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. I mean, that's something we can discuss, right? It's all sensationalized, like to sell something, right? Sensationalize it. Even in the news, right? The media, right? They want to sell a story. They want to sell a big event. This invasion that everybody keeps saying is coming up on the border, right? It's bullshit. It's just like you said. People have always shown up to the border, always tried to come across.
You know, Walter mentioned earlier colonias. I lived in the biggest colonia in Texas for 4 years. Cameron Park down there in the middle of Brownsville, and it was a community like anything else. But the one thing
why are they called colonias?
So a colonia is a state designation here in Texas, which basically says that you are a non-city. You're not an incorporated city, but you are also not just rural area. You are recognized by the state as a community that requires certain needs. However, because of
give them to you.
Well, let me explain. So what that basically means is they technically get, for example, fire and law enforcement protection, and they get water, but beyond that, they don't have to have the same things that cities have. So Cameron Park, there for the most time I lived there were no sidewalks and only one paved road. Now there's more than that because they put more since then, but they didn't have to because it's not part of the city of Brownsville. So they don't have to follow city codes. That basically means they don't get access to a lot of the things that most people in U.S. cities get. The amenities. But they still get at least recognition enough that human services can come down and provide help. So there's some recognition there. The practical effect of colonias is that what you end up having is a community of people that are mostly immigrants of whatever status, and also people that either don't want a lot of government attention or just don't get a lot of government attention, even if they wish they had it. And so that's what you end up having. So what I end up having here is in Cameron Park, for example, if an incident happened on the edge of Cameron Park, nobody want to touch it. The city police don't want to touch it. The county constables don't want to touch it. It's like it's somebody else's problem. They all say that.
Which then, okay, keep going. I want to bring. You brought something.
No, go ahead.
Which then immediately made me think about the shooting that just happened out here.
Yeah, that happened in a small town. Yeah, Cleveland,
where cops. I mean, they kept calling the cops to address the neighbor shooting the gun, and they never came. And then,
and what was the very first thing they said as soon as that incident happened? They said undocumented. No, it said illegal. Yeah. They say an illegal shot the family next door, and then everybody loved Abbott's announcement. 4 illegals were killed. What the hell, man? Like he literally, the guy shot a family. That's the worry, not whether he is illegal or they are illegal. That's not the situation.
It's sad because, like you said, I think they're dehumanizing them.
They're that's exactly what it is.
Illegal when they're human lives.
They're people. And you know what's really funny to me is that he walked it back a day later by saying one of them might not have been an illegal.
Yeah,
that's his walk back. That's his walk back.
Yeah, that's not much of a walk back though.
No, it isn't. It isn't at all. It isn't at all.
It isn't. When I heard that he walked it back, I thought he kind of came. Hey, I'm sorry, I mentioned this. Somebody else, but no. It feels like it's like a wink towards certain people that is like, oh well, okay.
That's entirely what it is. It's not even a subtle dog whistle. It's literally these people aren't human. If you agree they're not human, vote for me.
No, but the thing is, like how it started, what you were mentioning before, not getting service as much as you should.
Well, Cleveland's not a colonia to my knowledge, but the thing is that the family that was there, if they did have documentation status, a lot of people that have documentation concerns don't call for help. They don't call for fire. They don't call for EMS. They don't call for police. And these guys,
I heard that he did. That they did.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The fact is that where a lot of people in their situation wouldn't call, they did, and they said, "Please help us. Please help us."
And nobody showed up.
They didn't care because it's.
They know.
You're a big town, but it's still in the area where it's like, it's guns. People can use their guns. No,
but let's talk about that, right? Not only in small towns like that are ignored by the larger governments, let's say, even in inner city
priorities.
Right? Why do you think most neighborhoods don't really call the police? They come in. Sadly, it's happened. They shoot the wrong person. They arrest the wrong person. What happened with this investigation? They had the wrong guy's picture up on the news.
Oh my! What really?
Yeah.
We all look alike to them.
Oh my!
So
they're trying to catch the wrong Pokemon.
They caught the wrong. They put the wrong guy's face, name, all over the news looking for him, and then they eventually walked it back. Oh, my bad. And then now this is the guy. We figured it out. And they finally, just today, caught him.
By the way, did you hear the name of the town where they caught him?
No.
Cut and Shoot, Texas.
It sounds like
Cut and Shoot, Texas. And I was like, I already knew there was a town called Gun Barrel, Texas.
Are you sure we're not in a comic book or something like?
I already knew there was a town called Gun Barrel. Now there's another one called Cut and Shoot. Yeah,
remember, what's that movie? Did you watch that movie, Vengeance, where they're like, "Welcome to Texas." It's the shape of a gun, like it literally is like
fair. But what's funny is we talk about dehumanizing people, right? One of the things that I can tell you about being a teacher is this: the national law was for years, and I think they tried to walk it back a little bit under Trump, but it's still, as far as I know, law of the land, was that we were not allowed to ask as students immigration status. You provide, it's like a doctor shouldn't do it, an educator shouldn't do it.
Let's stop there. Stop there. I want to adjust it because I want to forget. One of the add-ons to the law is that now hospitals are going to have their status.
Well, but let me touch on the education thing, and then we'll go to that because those are connected. So one thing I want to point out is both when I was in high school and I had friends that were immigrants, that were migrants.
Down south, right?
Yeah, in Brownsville on the border, right? And when I taught on the border, the people that were the students that were immigrants, that were first generation or the generation coming across, they were the hardest working students that I had. I had students that on a daily basis would have to walk across the bridge, get on the bus stop, take the bus a quarter mile down to my school, and then get out and then come to my classroom. Those kids had to do a lot of work. And by the way, those kids, wait, hold up. Those kids were most likely not undocumented. Those kids were most likely U.S. citizens. They probably lived with their relatives in Mexico because they didn't have anybody in the U.S. side that they could really stay with, even if their paperwork may have said they had an aunt or uncle here. So they had to put so much work into it, and they were the hardest workers. Second, third generation, fourth generation, not so much, but that first generation, they worked so hard to get that education. And yet they were being told later, well, maybe we shouldn't even give them an education. Maybe we shouldn't even let them in. Maybe we should let them go somewhere else. And now doctors, now you tell me doctors have doing the same thing and they're sending people away.
I mean, what is a doctor going to do, right? You're supposed to take the oath to heal, not harm, unless you're illegal. I can't help you. What is that?
I mean, it just seems like
because they're dehumanizing people.
Yeah,
they're no longer a person.
And then on top of that, you have like states like I forget what's that, the Huckabee. I forget. She used to be
Arkansas,
somewhere in the South, Arkansas. Yeah,
Arkansas, something like that. They're passing laws to kind of get away and allow children to work in factories. It's like, so they're targeting these same kids, like illegal, maybe not illegal, but like kids that just got here.
Well, kids of migrant families. That's what it is.
Migrant families.
There's a lot of people that are here legally, but even aren't sure because they get afraid they're going to send me away anyway, and they get scared and they run too.
And those are the kids that are out there working, literally picking fruit, like in meat packing plants. Like it's supposedly they went into the Cheetos plant or whatever, and they found out like a third or half of their fucking workforce was children or something like that. So it's like we're literally subsidizing this goddamn nation, and we're still getting like more laws. Which then I don't know if you know about Alabama. A decade ago or so, Alabama passed a law against immigrants, and when they found out that communities that worked in the fields found out, at least in this example that I saw, communities in a certain part of Alabama found out that they were coming for them, they all left, and they're like, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go to Texas. Let's go to California. Nobody was left to cultivate anything.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Nothing happened.
All this stuff saying that we want to get all these people out, and it's like, look, those are people who want jobs. They're people who want to work. They're people that want to help. And the thing is, they're not a drain on society. They're literally paying taxes without getting a refund back. They're literally paying taxes and not getting a refund back.
Contributing and
I remember a story.
And like you said, people were finding out that there was nobody working for them. They didn't have people in the factory.
They were trying to pay people, and then they were trying to bring prison labor to do it, and nope.
And I want to point out, it's not just labor when you say it like that. It's also education. It's also people that could become doctors, people that can become lawyers, people that become city leaders, are people who had these immigrant backgrounds were turned back. I had a student that 100% would have been top of her class when she got to college, but she could not get any scholarships because she learned as a senior that she had no Social Security number. She didn't know until she was a senior that she didn't have a Social Security number. So she is still in Brownsville, as far as I know.
So to finish that off, it's like, keep at it, motherfuckers. Like, that's the way I look at it. Keep at it. Nothing good is going to come out of this. Like, I'm every day I'm at job sites, construction job sites. Every day I'm at a construction job site. Latinos are building the United States. Every goddamn inch of every road. Every goddamn.
I mean, I don't want to bring up this topic,
how
but
the fuck do they even? How do
but think about it. This country, and we're getting bigger than this topic, but the United States fucking was built off of human trafficking and slavery and just demolishing communities and people and stealing land and culture.
And yes, it was built on the back of black people, and then the Irish and the Italians
and the
Chinese and the Koreans and the Japanese. But at the moment, it's the fucking Latinos building tying every little rebar, building every little sidewalk, every parking lot, every warehouse for Amazon. Like every job site that I go to, and I inspect a lot of job sites, it's puro pinche Latino, whether documented or not.
And even people jokingly tell me we see that, you know it's a good job when it's a bunch of Latinos there. Like they like immediately know, like, oh look, it's all 90% Latinos.
That's stable work.
That's stable work right there. That's gonna fucking hold.
Everybody keeps asking me like, what kind of job do you like? And I'm like, I want jobs that are stable. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, literally. It's sad.
I don't know.
And I hate that this is where we're at, right? Where it's like, but we know when this comes up, it's another election cycle. It's always man.
But let me ask you this: and if this is why they do it, it doesn't. It's still not.
No, but why is it that we had so many? And this is the thing. I don't want to just sit here and bring up old topics, right?
That's the thing that for us they're old. It's just the same old tropes.
No, it's the same. Like Kevin said, right? People have been coming here for years. That's not different. The only difference is that they're shining a huge spotlights on it and lighting, shooting off flares.
No, it actually that's not even different. It's the same. Like the first drug laws in the U.S. were specifically anti-Chinese. That was the purpose of them. The first immigration laws were because of the Chinese, and then they started passing. And then, of course, we all know about segregation laws that came after all that stuff. All these things were fueled by racism, and again, as I keep saying, older people that are in power, older white men in power.
So, why won't Mitch McConnell just fucking trip and pass and not go back to work? Like, I know it sounds shitty to say, but like,
I am not gonna. Hope he dies. Okay, I was just gonna say I am not gonna hope somebody dies, but I am gonna hope somebody gets replaced.
I hope he dies. I literally hope because I know I'm gonna die. I hope he dies.
But it's sad, man. It's sad because we sit here and vote. My vote doesn't matter. It does matter. But then you're like, oh, I can't vote.
Doesn't matter.
And then it becomes a whole thing.
Hold on. I want to just side topic, but about voting, which I think is hilarious. Currently in Austin, there is a ballot up on the measure. Proposition A says that the police should get more oversight from civilians.
Okay.
And then Proposition B says police should get more oversight helping the civilians. Do you see the problem there?
Okay. Say it again.
Proposition A says the police should get more oversight from civilians.
Okay.
Proposition B says the police should help civilians give oversight to the police.
No, that's
there you go. So they used the exact same wording but changed one extra little thing. And honestly, I'll be fully honest with you. I vote every presidential election. I usually vote every midterm election, but I often forget to vote. And this one time I probably wasn't going to vote, but then I got a phone call. And the phone call was a survey asking me if I was aware of propositions A and B. And I was like, yeah, I'm vaguely aware of it. They're like, and they described the votes and I'm like, that sounds good. And they go to B. I'm like, that sounds good too. And then they started going with the questions. And as they continued, it was very obvious the people that were paying for this survey were saying questions like, wouldn't you hate it if the police had to put extra work into justifying their actions and it would stop them from stopping crimes? No. And I was like, I was cracking up. The lady was like, are you sure you have time for the survey? I'm like, just keep going. This is hilarious. So she, by the time she was done with the survey, she was cracking up too, because I don't think she realized what she was just doing a job. Like she wasn't like a believer or anything, right?
Yeah.
And by the end of it, she's like, are you likely to vote? And I'll be like, I'll be honest with you. I probably wouldn't have voted in this election if you hadn't called me, because now I'm definitely going to vote. But you know what the best part is? Abbott, we talked about earlier, is most likely going to pass a law that overrides any ordinance about this. So probably the city one is going to pass to protect the civilian oversight, not the police one. But if it does pass, I guarantee you within a month, he's going to pass a new law that supersedes it.
That sucks, man. It just feels icky. They want our music. They want our food. They want our men.
They want our women.
They want our women. But they don't. I don't know. It's just they just want. It's like
all they want is they want Pedro Pascal on the screen, but they don't want to. They don't want to think about where his family's from.
They want our memes. They want us in their.
That's the thing. We look at these, and I literally today had a thought, and my wife told me, "Did you see they passed this law?" And I'm like, "No, I was working," and I sat there thinking, "Where the fuck else can I move? Like, where else can I go? Because California is not as easy, not easy
What can you
either.
afford?
I keep
Yeah,
telling, I
I
keep
can't
telling
live
my
there.
brother to move back to Texas, and he's like, "Are you kidding me, Texas?" And I go, "Hey, at least it's not Florida."
Yeah, but it was crazy to me. Univision headquarters is in fucking
Yep.
there,
Yep.
you know, and Telemundo headquarters are there, like worldwide. Like, where's Jorge Ramos at talking shit? I don't see him doing that.
That's the thing. That's a good fucking question. I'm fucking calling because I haven't heard much from Univision and Telemundo calling out
Yeah.
this presidency or these governments or state agencies or
You
whatever.
know
on
why?
shit.
Because they don't have the Disney money. Disney can afford to fight back. Disney can afford it.
When Trump was around, Jorge Ramos was all over the place calling out Trump.
Because it's it's very easy to call out the federal government because the federal government can't do anything to you. But
the
state governments can affect media. State governments can pass laws over that media. Like, it doesn't stop free speech, but they can pass laws that make it harder for you to get funding, harder for you to get advertising.
The Florida government right now in their province, in their area,
and Florida's suing them back.
Florida's suing them back because they're trying to tell them basically how to run their business, what's allowed in their parks, and what they can and can't show and do.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is, like, honestly, Disney should never have been given that permission in the first place. But it's too late to take that genie back now. You cannot put that back in the bottle.
They can actually put a person in power on the board, the zoning board. Disney had that ability to just pick more, I think, a couple seats.
It wasn't just that. It was that the zoning board could make their own laws that were counter to a lot of state laws.
It's like an HOA. They
it was like the most powerful HOA that ever existed, is what it was.
But I mean, like, why haven't we had, like you said, there could be something there. I don't want to dive into that.
By the way, did you hear? I think it's South Carolina. I can't remember which state. One of the other states said they're going to pass a law that would allow Disney to form its own separate entity again in their state so that they could leave Florida and go there. And it's hilarious because A, that would be expensive. But B, imagine a brand new Disney World that has state-of-the-art everything, and Florida just gets left with the bill.
Whatever.
They'll turn it into Republican land or something, you know?
At the same time, Disney's underpaying their in Disneyland, like in Anaheim, they're underpaying their workers.
To the
point
I said,
that they're on fucking food stamps at the same time.
No, like I said, Disney should never have been given that
place on earth. Like, no.
That's what I said. Disney should never have been given that power. But what I'm saying is that they can't just up into that table now, and especially not for such petty reasons.
Yeah.
So let's ask a question, right?
They're just having us chase our own tails around in circles.
Things are thrown to despistarnos, right? And my biggest thing with this Florida thing passing, there's more noise about Disneyland coming from the business owners of it, right? The business of it. And I'm getting wind of this law and everything happening, right, with DeSantis, because he's just fucking out of control. But yet there's such a big...
You want to know why? It's exactly what you said earlier. The dog whistle stuff. Like, he's passing this law because he knows all of the media that all of the people that are against him are going to get excited about the Disney thing. The people that want to follow him, they're going to get excited about, oh, you're going after illegals? Oh yeah, we're going to vote for you. Yeah, so that's what he's doing. He's passing laws that are going to make his base super happy to keep them excited and continue voting.
But we look at people that are refugees, like Cuba, Haiti, that come into Florida and to seek asylum. Like, I have to look at myself in the mirror, right? Like, what am I doing in Texas to really make noise, right? But why don't we see some resurgence in Florida, right?
You want to know the difference? You want to know the difference?
What is it?
It's because Cuban immigrants have ever so slightly more access to amnesty than Haitian immigrants, and then Guatemalan immigrants, then El Salvadoran immigrants, because they are coming from what is officially recognized by the U.S. government as a dictatorship. So they have a slight, ever so slight, it's not much, but ever so slight benefit.
I'm going to tread lightly, okay? So you're saying that the refugees from Cuba, because they're coming from that country,
have a slightly better chance than somebody from Haiti.
Right. But does that give them this stature that they think they have above everybody else? Because there was a huge I'm gonna look at the numbers. I don't know the number, but I don't want to quote specific things.
Statistically speaking, aren't Cubans a lot more Republican than they are?
They are, especially in Florida.
So and they're lighter skinned than Haitian, and
that's also part of it. Yeah,
it's called colorism in Mexico. It happens even in Mexico.
And because Univision Telemundo has a whole, that's a big Cuban like connection right there, you know. And it's sad that that's the only two fucking stations that represent us apparently, and they're zip with this law happening in their own backyard.
Honestly, I hadn't really. I watched the news on a daily basis, you know, NPR, stuff like that. I hadn't heard about that till you brought it up.
Me too.
It's not blowing up, and it should.
Me too.
Yeah, it's scary. It's crazy how, but when you hear, and forgive how it's being phrased, illegal alien kills a family of 5, you're like, oh shit.
No, illegal alien kills a family of illegal aliens.
Illegal aliens.
Except for the one that Abbott considers a human.
It's upsetting. I mean, we know we usually talk about, you know, goofy stuff here and there, crack jokes, but
this is the poquito politico segment.
Poquito politico, because it's reality, man. It's just happening. We can't keep our eyes closed. And yeah, I vote. I look at those things, like you said, the state level, especially in my area. What impacts me? What my kid's gonna have to put up with at school? You know, and you touched on that at the schools you're teaching at, and what they're. It's scary. It's just scary what they can and can't let you do. And the fact that my kid can't have the liberty to read something in the school library. I did read something, though, that they're trying to pass a federal law. I don't know if we can mail Kevin or not, where they're trying to protect libraries in general, where they can have any books without having any input from the state. Am I wrong?
So hold up. I don't think the federal thing's going to pass. That's because of the whole House versus Senate situation. But in states, you do know that they're passing a lot of laws that are trying to stop. And the majority of the attention has been on LGBT issues, rightfully so.
Yep.
But they're also pushing out books that are related to immigrants, related to race, related to colorism. Those books are all being pushed out as well. And yeah, it's when I mentioned earlier that I want my brother to come back and teach in Texas again. It's like, no, that's exactly what he's talking about. He teaches history, and he's like, how could I teach history in Texas? And he's like, he's not wrong.
So what the fuck? Just the Bible and fucking Huckleberry Finn?
No, the Bible also gets banned because like they're fine. No, it's hilarious because people have actually said, well, if you're gonna vote, they're gonna say if you're gonna ban things that discuss sex, the Bible has a lot of it. And literally in more than one town, people have said, okay, we'll ban it too. They're willing to literally throw the baby out with the bathwater just to stop people from talking about LGBT, Black issues, immigrant issues, just to stop them from talking about it. They're willing to have the Bible banned. That's how hardcore they are about stopping your kids from reading.
If that's something they want, fuck it, because school's not the only place that those issues come up. Like we have so much access on the phone to
But this is the reality, though. Are we putting the right things in front of the kids? Right? Are we engaging in those conversations? Are we out there doing that? We're not.
Hey, speaking as teachers, we've been trying to.
No, and I'm not putting that weight on you as a teacher, right? I'm a parent. So's Walter. My kid's going on 14, and he wants to go back to school. Here I had control. I said, hey, read this, because I asked him, hey, pick whatever book you want to read. He's reading Stephen King. And he's reading the Dark Tower series. He's reading all these things. We're getting the conversations in about racism and whatnot. But he's going to go back to school, public school. Mm-hmm. Am I going to have that conversation with him? Like, hey, so what are you reading? Now I'm going to have to be, I guess, a better parent and read and know what my kid's doing.
No, it's like, literally, you're literally not going to have to do that because they're just going to get rid of all the books. And the funny part is that DeSantis was saying about Florida again. He's like, oh, well, they're just sending these things of empty libraries. The libraries don't have to be empty, but they literally do. Because the law says unless a book is approved, it cannot be on the shelf. So they have to take everything down until every single one of them has been approved. So, yeah, you don't have to worry about what your kids are reading. They're not reading squat.
It sounds like there always has to be a boogeyman. I remember in high school, like our teacher, I was taking an AP Lit class, and the teacher said, she had a Malcolm X book, the Malcolm X book, and she just put it on the table and said, the book is here. If you want to read it, it's up to you. Like, she literally couldn't, Malcolm X could not be part of the reading curriculum, but she put it on the table and she said, but if you want to read it, it's right here. So this has been going on for a long time already. So let's not pretend like it hasn't. It's like a slow degradation of kind of dictating. I don't know.
You know what? I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not teaching English anymore. I'm not a librarian. The books that are on my shelf are just to be on my shelf. Nothing on there is the reading material except for the actual journalism books. So, you know what? Kid picks up a comic book off my shelf. It's their thing. What they do during lunch hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I feel like there has to be a big push to almost preserve, to preserve these things, because how far are we from a fucking, how do I say, God, book burning,
and physically preserve it, because electronically you can change anything.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, physically buy these books, save these books, these comic books, like physically have them, because
and like a location, like a place where you have a bunch of books physically. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like a place where it's like people can read for free. Revolution, for free, anything they want.
That's revolutionary, Stanley.
But Primos, we got a little heavy tonight, but it's things we got to talk about. Obviously, right?
I always say we talk about pop culture, and you know what? Legal
this
matters.
Culture is popping.
Exactly. Well, it's popping, but it's also who we are. Yeah. Because I say we talk about pop culture from a Latino perspective, and Latino, Latine. This affects all of us, and so these are definitely things that we need to talk about. And I'm glad you guys. I would not have thought of suggesting that for this week, but I'm glad the two of you guys suggested this topic. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that's in the forefront because we have to pay attention. We come from the culture and life that we have a connection to people trying to get in and not able to.
Okay, but if we look at it from a way, way, way much more macro, like it is very unique in the United States. Not that we're the only, what do you call it, a diverse country in the world. We're not the most diverse. There's a lot of countries that are becoming much and much more diverse, right, in Europe and everything, whatever. But for the longest time, it seems like the United States has been, in a certain way, much more diverse for a longer period of time than other parts of the world, right? Just look at the food alone, right? Anywhere you go to any major city, you'll come across different types of food, the music as well. As much as people complain about this, it feels like this is like a growth period, as hard as it may be. If it's like either we come out stronger as Americans out of this shit, whatever this is going on, or we self-destruct, which I don't think we're gonna self-destruct, because that's like a hyperbole of what's happening. People like the Republicans always talk about how we're destroying ourselves. Like, no, we're not. We're just growing as a society. Like,
well, let's grow. Let's grow. Like, I mean, there's gonna be growing pains, there's gonna be changes that we gotta go through, right? And obviously, it's just going to take work. But we can't be blind to it. We can't be deaf to it. Can't be mute to it. We got to get involved, everybody. So I'm glad we had this talk. You guys can continue to talk, of course. Reach us at My Primos Podcast. Let us know your thoughts, what you guys want to talk about. Please feel free if you have any topics, or if you feel you want to be a guest. I don't know, Chikuma's down to, argue with you. Or if you're a hardcore DC fan, Kevin has thrown the gauntlet out there.
I want to challenge. I want to have a challenge, man. I know that I'm a big hardcore Marvel guy. I want a hardcore, not just DC fan, but DC historian who can debate with me some similar characters. Man-Thing versus Swamp Thing. Namor versus Aquaman. I want to do some debating of like hardcore, going down to the history of these characters. What makes them similar or different?
There you go. The gauntlet has been thrown, Primos. But let us know your thoughts, and of course, we appreciate you listening. Cuídense, keep your eyes open, have the conversations. Adiós.
Out.